And we're back, everybody. Welcome back to more esports talk. Today we talk about a topic that most owners out there will never ever reveal, thanks to one of our viewers as well, because we're retouching on this subject because I got a few things wrong out there. That's going to be Richard Wells, the founder of H2K, who's actually come forward with a video. I will link his YouTube channel down below because, again, we rarely see these insights from owners or founders of big organizations out there, especially in a League of Legends scene or a franchise scene, which we know is likely losing money, and that's why we're never going to see a top-tier organization like Liquid, Fnatic, amongst others, actually come out and say, hey, we might be losing money with our investment inside League of Legends. Richard Wells, though, did the opposite of that. He actually came out with a video now several weeks back, but we're retouching on this because we never see behind the scenes this kind of stuff. He talks about League of Legends and the averages. I want you guys to know he takes speculation into account, and he actually does a lot of estimations out there based off his own finances. When he did run H2K in League of Legends, he gives us averages out there as to what he thinks most teams in the LEC are actually losing when it comes time for League of Legends. So yes, there might be one or two teams out there. There might be a small few teams out there in League of Legends actually making a profit, but based off his information, guys, most of them are not. So now that we're clear about that, you guys, of course, can leave your thoughts down below. We've already talked about on this channel Call of Duty franchising, how profitable that's going to be. Tough to be profitable, especially when it comes time for League of Legends. They have trouble bringing in sponsors. You can imagine for a gory, a gory shooter game, especially this time in America. I'm not necessarily too much around the world as well, but when it comes time for a game like CSGO, they struggle with sponsorship. You got to imagine Call of Duty going to struggle just as much, and that buy-in price compared to the viewership, we can all agree it's pretty steep. So Richard does break down, though, the averages of the expenses out there. He also leaves out a lot of expenses, so keep in mind, a lot of teams out there, yes, they could be making more, but he leaves out a lot of expenses they also could be paying a lot more for as well. So first of all, when it comes time for what he shelled out, he thinks is shelled out for an average team in the LEC, and again, this could be dated, so take it with a grain of salt. It's pretty extreme. As the average LEC salary, he said, was 250,000 euros, academy salary being 60,000 euros, an average team salary then would be 1.67 million euros, although he does say after additional social security fees, kind of a trouble for a lot of orgs out there, eventually a 250k salary for the org becomes 270k. The 60,000 euro salary for academy players becomes around 72,000 euros, and that leads to the average salary cost around the entire team of 1.86 million euros. Now, he also does continue, yet again, guys, he leaves out a lot of the expenses, but as he does break down these expenses, they also get pretty extensive, and it's pretty crazy to see how much these teams really do shell out. Even the fact that mean salary in the LEC is 250k across most esports out there, you can actually show, it really does show League of Legends, they pay their players some of the highest salaries in esports, which again, compared to viewership, might make sense. As he also provided the estimates for a team staff and management costs, which keep in mind, guys, have a high variance as well. Player salaries, of course, going to be a high variety. Teams have analysts, other teams have multiple coaches, maybe assistant coaches and head coaches, they have chefs, etc. He did say, though, for H2K's estimated cost, it was just under 300,000 euros for their staff. And as aforementioned, guys, there's so many expenses out there that he did not include in these expenses that they do round out to just over 2.2 million euros. I mean, some teams have multiple houses, as per mentioned. They provide food for their teams, they provide chefs, miscellaneous charges here and there. Those could be paying for travel, boot camps, PCs, broken equipment, so on and so forth. The expenses do pile up, and he did not include those in this expense report, which still does break 2.2 million euros. Now, when it comes to what the team actually brought in, again, going to be averages for what he thinks alongside some of his own finances, guys. He talks a lot about the stipend system for the League of Legends system, which is actually taken out for the LRP system. It was actually previously each and every team he does think was given around 550,000 euros every single year to compete, which is probably a large idea of why these teams thought they could actually make some money. That's a big stipend, which apparently was taken away for a brand new LRP system, which can be a bit confusing, obviously on screen for all of you guys. Pretty much it comes down to teams give a small cut of their own League of Legends sponsors to a giant pot, which is then split amongst everybody. Riot sponsors are also split amongst the entire teams. Those are supposed to be the big sponsors, although Riot does take their own cut of those as well, which is where the $330,000 does come in for the Riot sponsors later on when he actually shows what the team does bring in. As I show you guys right now on screen, you guys can obviously see it ends up being a pretty big expense to run a League of Legends team. It's especially weary as well because if a team on his averages is spending around over 2 million euros, only bringing in far less than a million euros, you're saying at least €1 million loss each and every year for the average LEC team. That probably spreads across other leagues as well, LCS probably included, and who knows whether other leagues are actually having expense-wise, and especially when it comes to profitability for these main leagues out there, that being the LEC and LCS. Based off this, is it even possible? I will say though, we did hear rumors out there in the news that Riot was actually bringing in bigger sponsors for the upcoming years coming forward, so maybe this is actually old information. We could be incorrect about that. They'd have to be some pretty big sponsors though to offset all of these costs that Richard Wells does bring up. Now, very lastly as well, I think he brings up a great point on top of everything. When you have all of these big organizations boasting these giant sponsorships, let's say they have Intel, a 500K sponsor, well, yes, that's actually going to be, let's say for Liquid, they bring in 500K. Well, that's not only going to be for their League of Legends team in most cases, right? That's going to be spread across the entire organization. So all to the more to the fact of what Richard Wells is saying, even though these teams out there might be profitable, or they might boast that they are profitable because they bring in these big sponsors, those big sponsors on the expense sheets should be spread across all of their teams, right? All of Liquid's teams, all of Fnatic's teams, not just their one League of Legends team. That sponsor money goes to everybody in the organization, which kind of more accounts to the fact that League of Legends, is it profitable? Richard does not think so. And very lastly, in closing points, he also says from an organizational standpoint, the prize pool winnings from these leagues, yeah, they're not really going to be a way of making profit. I'm sure you guys are well aware of this. Even Worlds as a prize pool once a year is not going to really make much of a return, especially when you have €250,000 salaries for individual players out there, and the leagues themselves, each and every split, having such minimal prize pool winnings. It's not going to make a big deal for an organization when they're trying to make a profit. Those prize winnings will not make a substantial difference. Also, he did want to clarify that H2K, they rejected Riot as they tried to negotiate these franchise developments. A lot of people out there maybe have a misconception that H2K was actually rejected. It was almost a semi-sense of that. He actually goes on to say they tried to negotiate and eventually could not come to terms, and they denied the league. They were not willing to pay that amount as well, and so we'll have to take his word for that on those negotiations, and apparently them falling through. Yeah, a team like H2K, of course, was going to try and renegotiate because maybe they did foresee we're not going to make money in league. Why would we participate? Either way, though, some crazy news. Everything that was said, again, his channel will be linked down below. If you guys want to watch his entire video, he also makes a lot of other great points out there, and it's really great to see, yet again, a founder out there of a well-known organization, at least when it comes to League of Legends history, actually coming forward and saying, hey, Riot is not providing us with substantial means to actually survive in League of Legends, and so it's so shocking to see so many organizations out there still in League of Legends, especially as we approach, I know I've talked about this probably too much on this channel, the esports bubble is very apparent, and if an organization, or I should say if a franchise league like League of Legends cannot turn a profit, there is no chance in heck that Call of Duty can. League of Legends boasts the highest viewership of any franchise league out there, of most esports out there, concurrent viewership and viewership in general, and so if they can't turn a profit, the question is to all of you guys, who can? As always, though, thank you all for watching esports and gaming news here every single day at Esports Talk. My name is Jake. I will see you guys back here Monday breaking down further news. Thank you all for watching. Have a great, safe weekend, and I'll see you sometime soon. Bye.